Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Hello, Kanu. Hello, Tanya.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Hello, Tanya. Hello, Peter. Hello, Kanu. Welcome, everyone. Are we both Euro origin American? Yes. And today the topic is English vocabulary words and where they come from. You tell me a word and I'll tell you where it comes from. I have a list of all kinds of stuff we can talk about, but I thought let's start with just
taking some words.
Yeah, you guys just give me some words that you want to know about, and I'll tell you where they come from, and maybe there's an interesting story about it. There are often interesting stories about English words. How are you, Tanya? Would anyone like to ask us an English word? Today's live stream is about English vocabulary words.
Yes.
So ask me if you want to know about a word.
A lot of the time they have an interesting history or a strange story attached. Oh, yeah, that again.
Peter, I don't really know anything about Telegram or Tom Cruise or whether things are real or not. I have no idea, man. But if Tom Cruise on Telegram sent me a message saying hello, I would assume it's fake. Why would Tom Cruise just randomly talk with random people he doesn't know? No, Tom Cruise doesn't talk to just strangers. It's a scam.
Yeah. I think Scientologists in general probably don't.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're selling something.
Right. So Peter, I don't know, man. You know, could it be? I suppose it could be, but I doubt it. I doubt it. You have a cold. I'm sorry to hear that, Tanya. My allergies have been really bad this week.
Infection.
Like last night, I woke up at like 4 in the morning, just sneezing.
Yeah, it's hitting everyone. That was at work. My coworker, she was sneezing so much, and she was like, "Stop saying bless you. I've had all the blessings that I can."
Do you know where bless you comes from?
I don't actually. They used to say, it's because your heart stops or whatever, but I was like, how would anyone in the past have known that your heart stops or anything like that?
Since we're talking about etymology, there's a good etymology for this one. Pope Gregory the First, around the year. Let's see, what year was that? One moment, everybody.
Pope Gregory of the calendar fame?
I do believe he was the one who made the calendar, yeah. Where was it? During the Middle Ages in the 14th century, there was the bubonic plague. and people were dying all the time.
They were sneezing.
And they were sneezing.
And coughing.
And so anytime somebody sneezed, people would say, God bless you, because it was like a...
They were thinking that the disease was coming to get you.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you needed God's blessing.
And that's right. So Pope Gregory basically created this idea that everyone can bless everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where God bless you comes from.
He whatever, pasteurized.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what the word is.
Yeah, right. So there, we started our etymology already. God bless you.
Yes, here in America, and I guess in England too, probably, and in other places.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a European thing in general. But, I mean, like, Gesundheit is good health.
Gesundheit.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
But in general, I think most of these things come from the idea that in the past we had plagues and all kinds of sicknesses that were much, much more dangerous than than most are today.
Right.
And so God bless you was just
It was the only medicine they had.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. It was the only medicine they had. Yeah.
What's up with my outfit? It's laundry day, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, well, that's a good one to put. Sometimes when you have nothing to wear, you wear whatever you have, and that's when we say it's laundry day.
Yep. That strip right there. Thank you. This is a vintage Yankees jersey from New York. Yeah, thank you, I was saying.
Extraordinarily, Kadisa, is that a word you want us to do the etymology of? That's right. Yeah, it means extra and ordinary, right? So extra means out of, and ordo means arrangement. So extraordinary means out of arrangement, really. But it just means something that is not common, not the norm.
Yeah, it's funny. That's like because humans are expert pattern recognizers, it's how we got, and it's the way that's defined seems like another, just out of the pattern.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. There are a bunch of words that are related to ordinal. For example, let's see. Primordial.
And so that's before the order?
Prime means first, and order or to begin. In this case, the beginning of the order. Right. So the first beginning is what that means. Primordial. And let's see. Any words that have order in them: back order,
right?
Coordinate. Coordination, disorder, extraordinary, inordinate, right? So inordinate means
out of,
not, again, or opposite.
Yeah,
in this case, ordinary meaning a set order, so out of a set order. Let's see. To ordain means to put someone in order.
So the Pope ordained all the people to be...
Right.
That was the word I was actually looking for.
Yeah, right, right. There you go. I like pasteurized better, though. Pastorized.
Yeah, pasteurized.
Orderly, ordinal, ordinance, ordinary, ordinate, ornament.
Ornament,
yeah. Ornament. Ornate, subordinate, suborder, suborn perjury.
I don't know. I don't even know if I know that word.
To suborn perjury means It means you secretly try to.
Lie in court.
Yeah, right. It means
knowingly committing perjury, sort of thing.
Right. So sub means under, and ordinare means equip, or in this case, or arrange. So
doing thing under the arranged way that
that's
it normally
right.
is,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
An unlawful bribe to accomplish a wicked purpose is to suborn something. Superorder, reorder, well-ordered, all of those.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Pitiful, Kanu, is that next one we want to know?
Pitiful, is that a word you want to know the origin of? Let's see. I'm sure it comes from pity. Well, that's interesting. So pity comes from the Latin word pietatum, which means piety or loyalty or duty.
And that your duty to that person to care for them, I guess, was what the pity.
To have pity for
Yes.
things, to have piety.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See, now I think that one's interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
To have pity for someone. Have pity on me.
Yeah.
Well, it makes more sense when you think of it like a religious term.
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
have
So I was going to say
piety,
it comes from
to be
pretty much
pious.
a religious context, which
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So to be pitiful means to be full of pity, which means to be full of, like you're sad and unfortunate. Your circumstances are sad and unfortunate. So you're full of pity. Peter, I'm not sure if we're going to invite anybody on stage today. We're talking about English origin word origins. So if you have some word origins you want to ask me, you can just type them in the chat. Hello, Yuri, over in
Hey,
YouTube.
Yuri.
You just watched the new Peacock series Fight Night and stumbled upon the word fence, which I think is the slang definition. Fence has many meanings. The most common meaning of fence means a barrier that you erect around your house or property. That's a fence. That's the noun version of a fence. But fence also is actually a sport. To fence is to fight with, what do you call those?
Swords. Well, rapiers.
Yeah, rapiers. Yeah, or what's the other word? There's not a rapier. What do they use for fencing?
A needle. Yeah, and in sports, these are different, but
foil.
Oh, foil.
Yeah,
yes.
epi and foil. Yeah,
epi and foil.
Or saber, right? So yeah. To fence is the sport where on guard, touche, that whole thing, right? That's fencing. But then there's the slang term to fence something, which means to sell stolen merchandise that you have. You steal something from someone and then you try to sell it in order to get money. That's called fencing it. And the noun version of the slang would be a fence, which would be a person who you can sell things to, illegal things.
Heard that as much. I feel like I have heard it before, but
crime dramas and things like that. We went to the fence. Do you know a fence? Do you know a good fence?
Right.
That means, do you know somebody who will give me a good price for these stolen things? And we need to fence this stuff quickly means we need to sell it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it would depend on the context that you heard it in.
That's right. Yeah. Fence can be from wood or stone or only wood. No, fences can be made of anything.
Yeah, make them from plastic.
Wood, plastic, stone, whatever.
Paper.
Any kind of barrier that you erect around a property is called a fence. Okay? Any other words you want? Ask me a word. I'll tell you where it comes from.
Of the word slang.
Okay, well, there's an interesting one.
Is interesting.
Let's find out. Slang. Let's see. An extensive account of the established origin of the word from the Northern England noun slang, meaning a narrow piece of land running up between other and larger divisions of ground.
It kind of makes sense. I know it's a geographical context, but if you apply it to what it means in language, that sort of makes sense.
Let's see. Their common denominator seems to be to move freely in any direction. The Norwegian meaning slanget means a gang or a band. So it is not uncommon to associate the place designated for a certain group and those who live there with that group's language. John Fielding and the early writers who knew the noun slang used the phrase slang patter as though that patter were some kind of talk. So slang originally meant a narrow piece of land. And slang are words that are regionally used only in a dialectical sense, right? So in this case, the original meaning of slang means a piece of land. The people who live on that land all speak the same words. They all know the same words. So they're a gang. They know the same jargon, lingo, right? So that's where the word slang originally comes from, apparently, is it means a place. And then, so originally it meant the territory used by people for their wandering or their camping ground, and then eventually it was used as the language used at that camping ground.
Right.
Right. Well, that is a kind of an interesting one. It's a dialectical word that reached London from the north, and for a long time it retained the traces of its low origin. The root was from territory or turf, those who advertise and sell their wares on such a territory, or to the patter used in advertising their wares. So when
that's like they're slanging goods,
right, what you call this thing, like knickknacks, and
and they all had their own names for that stuff,
like that slang, those kinds of things. Those are all slang, right? Like, what do you call this thing here? Well, you call it this here, but over there you call it that.
Right.
That's slang, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So Ava, it's sort of related to gang. It's more.
It means a group of people that live in an area, and because a group of people live in an area for a long time, they start speaking a similar language to each other. They start knowing words that are only local words, right? That's what we call slang. So originally the word meant a piece of area or land. Then it meant the people who live on that land or sell their things on that land. Then it meant the language used there, the special language used from that land.
Hey, Bellin.
Good morning, Bellin. Okay, any other ones? Let's see. You heard a sentence that you guys interfere, you gonna get run in on an obstruction charge. What does that mean? So if you guys interfere means if you guys bother us or do anything that bothers us or prevents us from doing our job, that's interference, right? You're going to get run in on. In this case, that's a phrasal verb that is specific to police, meaning that they will come try to arrest you for some charge.
Obstruction, right? In this case.
Right, in this case, obstruction. Obstruction means to try to stop an official officer or official person from doing their job. That's to obstruct, means to get in the way of someone, right? So if you try to stop the police from investigating their crime, the crime that they're looking into, then you could be arrested for obstruction. To get run in on means they're going to say, okay, well, we're going to charge you with obstruction,
physically arrest you
and run you into the jail. They'll take you to the jail. Okay. Kutsia wants me to look up the word aspect. Aspect comes from the Latin word aspectus, meaning seeing, looking at, sight, view, appearance. So that makes sense. That's fairly easy. So in this case, the AS in this word, there are many English words that have AS that the actual root word is AD, not AS. I'm not sure how that changes over, but AD means to, and so ad meaning to, and specere meaning to look. So aspect means basically to look. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Can I break it down? Run in and obstruction. So to run you in for something would be a police term saying that we're going to come get you and charge you with some crime. We're going to run you in on obstruction. We're going to run you in on prostitution or solicitation. We're going to run you in on tax evasion. We're going to run you in on drugs. That means they're going to come charge you and take you in on something, okay? And obstruction means to prevent someone from doing their job, is to obstruct them, right? Like you're becoming a fence is an obstruction.
Yes.
Right? So it gets in the way of you.
It's a charge on its own. I see. Yeah. And a charge.
Yeah. I'm talking about a literal fence.
Yeah, a literal fence is an obstruction, and it's also its own charge.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Hello, Anvar. Intermediate is the next word. So inter means between. Let's see. Intermediate means inter means between, and medius means the middle. So intermediate means between the middle. That makes sense, right?
It does.
Intermediate meaning in the middle. It's not advanced. It's not beginner. It's intermediate, between the middle. Okay. Maverick. That's a good word. I always love that word.
Maverick. Yeah, is that the name of a horse or something?
It was, remember, from Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun, right.
That's who made that word famous. Right. Okay, so the word maverick comes from... Oh, that's interesting. It comes from cattle ranchers. Cattle ranchers, so cattle means cows, everyone. And a rancher is a person who has a lot of cows, right? So it's like a farm for cows.
A herdsman.
Right, yeah, a herdsman, right. But for cows in particular,
yes.
Right? So in America, and everywhere, but in particular in America, if you wanted to make sure that you didn't lose any cows or none of your cows were stolen, you would brand them. So that means you use a very hot piece of iron to burn some kind of a sign into the skin of the cow, right? That was called branding.
Now they do it with liquid nitrogen.
Right.
It's super cold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So a long time ago, they used to use hot metal to brand all the cows, but there was always one or two ranchers who didn't really brand all their cows. They weren't very particular about it. They were mavericks. So a maverick means a person who goes against the grain, who doesn't do things the way everybody else does them. They do things their own way. That's a maverick, right? And in this case, the original meaning was talking about a cow rancher who wasn't very organized about making sure all of his cows had a brand. So maybe some of his cows were not branded. That was a maverick.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty interesting one. An unconventional person.
So it's a word with an origin from here.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't get a ton of those.
Not too many, no. No comment from the Peanut Gallery. Okay, this is a good one.
Yeah, I'm guessing I know what that means. I'm thinking baseball or the circus or something like that, but
Well, let's
or maybe
find
even
out for sure.
Opera.
The peanut gallery was once used to refer to the people, usually black people, who were sitting in the cheap seats in the vaudeville theaters and would throw peanuts at the audience. So a long time ago, before we had TV and movies, we had something called vaudeville theater, which was these kinds of performances. Sometimes they had the movies that would play, and a band would make all the sounds.
Yeah.
There was no audio to the movies, so
Right.
the band would make all the sounds. And in these theaters, there were some seats called the peanut gallery, which were the cheap seats that were usually sold to blacks and minorities. And so in those seats, they often would eat peanuts and throw them down at the audience or throw them down at the performers or something. That was called the peanut gallery. So in this case, when we say no comment from the peanut gallery, it's a kind of a funny way of saying, I don't want to hear your complaints or I don't want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
Right? It means your opinion is not important right now. No
Yeah.
comment from the peanut gallery.
And to me, it generally instills like a you're the audience, as opposed to I'm the performer. I don't want to hear from
That's right.
someone sitting out there.
I know better than
Right,
you do. Right. It
right.
kind of implies like an I know better than you do. Right. So, for example, if somebody came on my live stream and started, telling me how to do my live stream, which has happened many times. If somebody came here to tell me how I do my live stream or what I should do differently or if I'm good or bad, maybe I will tell them, hey, no comment from the peanut gallery, because that's what that's who you are. Either go do it yourself and then you can do your own.
You can sell your own peanuts.
That's right. Or zip it. Right? So no comment from the peanut gallery means I'm not interested in your opinion.
Yes.
Okay, what's the difference between bother, annoying, and disturb? To bother someone and to disturb someone are very similar.
Yeah, and annoy is even in the same vein.
Is in the same, yeah. So, Mahmoud, sometimes bother, annoying, and disturb are the same, right? Don't bother me, don't annoy me, don't disturb me. That's the same. Disturb.
Yeah, I feel like something can be annoying without disturbing you.
Right. Disturb has a more general meaning that doesn't always mean annoy or bother.
Yeah, sometimes if I bump this mic, I disturb.
Or don't disturb your father, he's napping.
Right.
Right? It's not about our bothering him or annoying him. You're trying not to wake him. So, and actually, disturb, I'm sure, has an interesting etymology. Let's find out. So disturb comes from the words dis, meaning completely. Let's see. And tubare, meaning disorder. So right. So to disturb something means to disturb its order or to change its order. So, for example, when I go fishing, you have to be careful not to disturb the water.
Or you'll scare the fish.
Right,
yeah.
right. So in this case, I'm not bothering the water. I'm not annoying the water. I'm disturbing it, which means that I am affecting its behavior in some way.
Its
from
pattern.
Its natural state.
Yeah.
So it's in a natural state that's calm, and you're somehow affecting its natural state so that it's not calm and settled anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's disturbed.
Yeah, disturbed. So I guess disturbed can apply to inanimate things, whereas annoying and bother is really only
Animate things. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah. Alif, you want to know about tough, touch, thought, and though? You want to know the pronunciation, or what do you want to know about those words, Alif? Ask me a question about those words.
Those are classics.
Yeah, they are, right? The O-U-G-H words or whatever, yeah. Thank you, Zoe. What's the difference between since and for? When we're talking about time, those are not very different. I've been playing drums since I was 11. I've been playing drums for many years. So in that case, they both describe time previously in a similar way.
Yeah, they're just used different grammatically.
But for has many other ways of using it, Rebecca. For has many
Yeah, for is probably up there with get.
Right.
As the most definitions.
Right. Is there any relationship between those words etymologically? Let's find out. Some of them, yes.
Because we used to pronounce the OGH, did we not? The OUGH, the
That's right. So the word though, let's start with that one because that's what we're talking about. The word though, THOUGH, the reason we spell it that way is because we used to pronounce it differently. So now when we pronounce that word THOUGH, we say though. But a long time ago, we used to pronounce it the. Right? And it had this sound similar to Arabic or Hebrew or German. But we don't have that sound anymore. So for many, many years, they tried to argue about how do we write that sound? What letters do we use to write that sound? And eventually they decided GH was the best way to try to represent that sound. So we spell it that way because that's how originally was pronounced with that sound. Now we don't have that sound anymore, but we keep the spelling the same so that we know where it came from. Okay? So, so that's where the word though comes from. And then the rest of them, although and although is the same. It comes from the same place as though. Thought. Let's see.
You say thought. That would have been a tough one.
Yeah, right. Thought comes from the Old English word thinking, means to conceive in the mind.
Ah, thinking. I've been thinking.
Yeah, right.
That sounds like Southern.
One moment.
That makes sense, though.
So, and yeah, originally that GH was pronounced, and it was pronounced more like a like KT or HT.
Fucked.
Yeah, fucked.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is kind of tough. Yeah, right. So it was originally pronounced with that GH sound in there, right? And then touch. Touch is different, I think.
Yeah. I think
Let's find out where that one comes from. Touch comes from the French word toucher.
Ah.
To touch, right?
Yeah.
When you fight in
fencing.
Yeah, fencing, right? If you hit somebody, then you touched them. And when you touch them, you say the word toucher, right? So to touch comes from the French word toucher.
I fenced for a couple months in my freshman year in high school. There was
too.
one guy who offered it, but it wasn't for very long.
We had a stage fighting class for my acting class.
We had actual a fencing instructor, and it was pretty cool, but I think our school didn't fund it after about 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. You want to know the etymology of the word etymology? So etymology, let's see, comes from the Greek word etymologia. So let's see. Etymon means the true sense or original meaning. Etymon, and logia means the study of. So etymology means the study of the true sense or original meaning of the word. Okay. Eminent. That's a good one. Eminent comes from the Latin word eminentum, meaning to stand out or project or be very high or prominent. In this case, it comes from the words ex, ex meaning out, and minere meaning a hill. So it's the highest point of the hill. It's the eminent point. So when you are eminent, then you are higher above everybody else in your knowledge or your power in some way. So they used to say, yes, your eminence, meaning lord or master or king.
And we hear preeminent a lot these days, I feel like.
Yeah, preeminent, meaning in this case the...
right before the peak? Or is
he's the preeminent figure in this lover, meaning before everybody else he had the knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, the more knowledge than anyone else. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Let's see.
Yes, a fly
That's right. Flies are annoying. That's right.
And they disturb your peace.
That's right. They can disturb your peace. That's right. Yeah, they don't disturb you. We usually don't talk about flies like the fly is disturbing me. Yeah. And Alif, I don't think touch does not have an etymological root with those words, but the other ones do, in that they all have the Old English root, meaning the OUGH words all come from Old English or Old Germanic. Let's see. Hello, Tomas. You know, Casablanca was on TV just the other night. I was watching it.
Is that Here's Looking at You, Kid?
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
Yeah, Here's Looking at You, Kid. Yeah. Okay, hello, Morata.
Morata.
Thank you, Ajoy.
Thank you.
Prevail. Okay, this is a good one. Let's look at prevail.
Yeah.
To prevail. Pre meaning before, and velere meaning to have power. Which is, I think, where we also get the word valiant.
Yeah, it's strange.
And valor.
Because by those definitions, it doesn't... It makes sense, but it doesn't quite, prevail, you think win.
Right.
Whereas that's like...
So in this case, it means to be stronger or more able or have more power than someone.
Yeah, okay, I see.
So pre meaning before.
Before their power.
Right,
Oh,
exactly. Right, yeah. But again, the word val, meaning ambivalence, avail, bivalent, convalesce, countervail, equivalent, evaluation, all of those words are related to the word meaning strong.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Valiant, strong, valor, strong, right? Okay, let's see. What is the best way to meet you all at the same time? What do you mean? Why does cut the mustard refer to referees doing a good job?
I never heard that one.
Yeah, cutting the mustard means, there is an interesting etymology about that one, I remember. But cutting the mustard means it doesn't meet your standard. Right? So if I said his reffing didn't cut the mustard, it means he was not up to the task. Mm-hmm. He couldn't do it well. He wasn't good at what he did.
Up to snuff.
He wasn't up to the standard, right? And this one, I've gotten quite good at typing with one thumb. So let's see.
Yeah, that's a phrase that I had not heard. I heard cutting the cheese, but...
Right, so I remember this one has a couple of different meanings.
And sawing logs.
Mustard was one of the main crops in East Anglia. Mustard, the plant.
Right.
Right, and it was cut by hand with scythes, and in the same way as corn. The crop would grow up to 6 feet tall and this was very arduous work, requiring extremely sharp tools. When blunt, they would not cut the
mustard. So that's why Bellin,
that's the original meaning.
Yeah, that's why it's that if it's it's not solid, and it does sound
That's
weird
right,
because
yeah.
they're cutting the mustard plant,
Right.
and their tools need to be able to cut the mustard. They need to be high quality. That's interesting.
There is a second possible meaning, which actually refers to mustard, the condiment.
Okay.
Meaning mustard around the turn of the century was, you know how like they used to have those commercials about like Grey Poupon mustard?
Yeah.
and how
Oh, it's fancy.
Yeah, you drive up next to somebody. You have Grey
and your
Poupon.
butler, yeah.
Right. Or there was another one. There was another mustard commercial where it was like making fun of rednecks eating mustard and whatever.
Oh,
you know.
I see.
That must be jelly or something like that. I don't know,
Right.
whatever. But the point is that for a long time there's been this standard idea of certain mustards are better than others, right? There's a high quality mustard,
Right.
and there's a low quality, or there's ones that are adulterated mustards. And so to cut the mustard in this case meant to meet the standard of being a quality mustard.
That's interesting. When I
Yeah.
first heard it, I was thinking like it was like on a hot dog, like cut the mustard. I don't want it. But
Right,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that makes way more sense.
Yeah. So, but that one, nobody's really sure where that one comes from. I think it's from the mustard plant one.
Yeah, the first
the
definition
one that
sounds a
That's the one
little-
I've heard the most
Yeah.
before. Let's see. If you don't drink at least 4 or 5 per day, it's not a day in Morocco. Are you in Morocco right now, Tomas? Hello, everybody. We're talking about etymology. If you want to ask me about a word, I'll tell you where it comes from. You tell me a word or a phrase that you want to know more about, and I will tell you where it comes from and what the original meaning is. Homie.
What's up, homie?
Homie comes from the word homeboy, which was a slang term meaning my good friend.
You see, and I thought that there was a Spanish connection too with hombre.
Hombre. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder if there is. Let's find out. Homie etymology. Yeah, no, this one says it comes from the 1920s. And it,
Yeah, I never looked into it.
yeah, it comes from homeboy.
Huh.
It was recorded from the 1920 in New Zealand in 1920s, meaning a recently arrived British immigrant.
Huh.
Because New Zealand and Australia were both,
Colonized.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So you were a homeboy from UK, from
Right,
England.
right,
You're my
right.
homeboy from my home.
Interesting.
My boy from home.
Yeah.
You're my homie.
Huh. Yeah, it went way back.
Trigger.
farther than I thought.
Trigger. You want to know about trigger? Trigger comes from the Dutch word trekker, meaning, or trekken, meaning to pull.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they used to spell it as Tricker.
A tricker.
Yeah. And that's why we call this the trigger finger, because it's the finger that
That you pull,
pulls.
yeah.
Right. Or trigger happy, meaning pull too much, right? Yeah. So there you go. Trigger comes from a word meaning to pull. My friend looks so cute.
Oh, I thank you.
What about me?
Yeah.
Perseverance. Let's look at perseverance. Perseverance comes from the Latin word perseverantia, meaning steadfast or consistent, or no, constant. Steadfast or constant. So persevere, per meaning very, and severus meaning serious. So to persevere means it's very serious. So you have to you have to be very serious to get through it. To persist in what one has undertaken. Yeah.
Right.
So you must be very serious. Very, severus meaning serious.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. What about the word mint? Okay. Sometimes I really like the short words like that because those can be really different. Mint comes from the German word minta or minsa. It borrows from the Latin word menta or mentha.
That makes sense.
It just means mint. Yeah,
that mint and menthol.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mentholyptus, right? Yeah. So it comes from the Greek word minthe, meaning mint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, what else? Migration. To migrate. In this case, it comes from the Greek word migros, meaning to change. Yeah, so to migrate means to change where you live, right? So it comes from the Greek word migros, meaning to change where you live. Who is persevere?
That's like a Stephen King name.
Yeah, right.
Persevere or something that.
Persevere.
Yeah.
Graham. Always a Brit, gotta be.
With the wordplay.
Yeah, right.
I do like that kind of stuff. I like doing stupid stuff.
Let's see.
Like that.
Catawamptiously chewed up. Catawampus is a word that we don't use very much anymore.
No, my friend, his screen name on different stuff is always Wampus Cat because you got the cattywampus.
Right. Yeah. So catawampus is a word that. Let's see.
I feel like it is used in the South more, like that. It's one of those kind of older words that I've heard Southern older ladies use.
So, kata meaning to set or move, and wampus meaning to wriggle or twist or swerve about.
So it's wriggling all about, and it's not in the right order.
It's not moving. It's moving catawampussly, meaning like it's moving awkwardly to the side or twisting or wriggling or something like that. It's all catawampus, meaning so kata actually means to move diagonally. So it should be this way, but it's all catawampus.
I see.
It's diagonal.
Another pattern type.
But chewed up, I'm not sure why you would say catawamptiously chewed up. I've never seen that before. Chewed up would probably mean defeated or broken. Yeah, right. Yeah.
The city will chew you up. You hear things like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. What about proofread? Well, proof is, let's see. Proof comes from the Latin word proba, which also means to prove. So like probation, probatory.
Yeah.
So
probing for information.
Yeah, or prove. Yeah. Right. Proof. So again, proofread in this case. Means to check very carefully, right? To proofread something means to check very carefully. So in this case, you're looking for proof. You're looking for let's see,
proofread.
Clarity.
Yeah, clarity
right.
and probing for the correct
that's
for
right.
any mistakes.
That's right. You're
thing.
probing for mistakes. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Okay. Compadre, that's
Spanish.
That's Spanish, yeah. Com means together, and padre means father, right?
Father. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? So compadres is like compatriot, which means people, like brothers from the same place. Yeah.
Comrade, similar.
Right. Mm-hmm. Hello, Safe. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, nice, Bellin. That's a good... Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So again, anybody have any other questions about English words? If you want to know where an English word or phrase comes from, just type it here and we will find it for you.
Hello in Brazil.
Thank you very much. Mucho gracias. Muchas gracias.
Parabéns.
Yeah. I love when I get like a random message from somebody that I don't know. Are you busy this week?
No, that automatically goes
I had
to
another one yesterday. Are you coming to the barbecue tonight?
Marcus
It's
spam.
like, it's like,
no.
who are you trying to fool, man?
I'm not biting on that that bear hook.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think it's funny.
Now, Rio, you're curious about the word hello? That's a good one.
Okay, sure.
And what I've heard before, I don't know if it's, but about hell being low and keeping it under you, but I don't know if that's true.
No, so this one comes from German, Hala or Hallo, Hallo. No, so Hola. So this one, let's see. So actually, before the 1880s, it was very common to say ahoy for hello.
And on the phone, that was the first thing that was said.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who created the telephone, his first word that he wanted to have everybody say was ahoy. And actually, in Slovak language, that's still how they say hello, is ahoy. The Eastern European way of saying hello a long time ago was ahoy. Still is in some places, right? And hello, H-A-L-L-O, was actually from H-O-L-L-A, hola, which came from ahoy.
Yeah, that's in The Simpsons. Mr. Burns answers the phone and says ahoy, and it's a joke on how old he is.
Right, exactly.
Because he still says that.
Yeah. So central phone telephone exchange operators were known as hello girls.
Huh.
Like, because a long time ago, when you wanted to make a phone call, you didn't dial a number.
Right.
You just called the operator and you told them who you wanted to talk to.
Right.
The operators were called hello girls because they would say hello.
Give me Lorne Michaels at Rockefeller Center.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, hello actually comes from ahoy. Yeah. Can I show you how to pronounce the flap T in better, bitter, and matter? Lamis, the word, the concept of the flap T is not as difficult as you think.
No.
I think that the flap T is something it's overthought. You're thinking too hard.
It almost is just like one T.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Lemis. When you say these words slowly, they don't have a flap T pronunciation.
Right.
So if I say the word better, that this one is better than that one, that's the proper pronunciation when you're speaking slowly and clearly. But when I speak more quickly in English, in American English, many words, when you speak quickly, the hard T becomes a soft D. Mm-hmm. That is the flap T, right? So instead of it being better, it's better. And it sounds more like a B-E-D-E-R kind of a word, right? And bitter becomes bitter, B-I-D-E-R. Or matter becomes matter, M-A-D-E-R. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good way to... I need to remember that one.
You can't see me. Who can't see me?
Willie, open your eyes. We're here.
Yeah. In most of the world, mom. Yeah, mom is almost all over the world. Mom and dad.
Yeah, that's
mama,
strange.
papa. Those words are almost all very, very similar all around the world.
It's strange that does almost point to like an origin language for everything, for at least anything that it doesn't prove it by any stretch, but
Right.
it does point to it.
Mama comes from the Greek mame, meaning mother or grandmother, which comes from the Latin mama, or Persian mama, or Russian or Lithuanian mama, German mume, French maman, Welsh mam. So yeah, it would seem to me that Greek is one of the older languages in that region of the world, and so it looks to me like
Persian would be pretty
Persian
old
is up there too.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's probably a mixture of originally Greek and Persian origin. Yeah. Modus operandi, that's Latin. That means way of working. So modus means mode or method, and then operandi meaning operation or way of working. So your modus operandi is your MO, and that means your method or common way of doing things that you do, right? Your signature way of doing things. It's your MO. You're so confused that you've been helping what? And as far as memorizing words go, don't memorize. Memorizing doesn't work. Memorizing is for lazy learners. Find a better way to learn. Hello, Belvini. Good to see you again. Let's see. You've heard that the word comes from the action of a baby asking for milk?
I mean,
Interesting, Julian.
Yeah. Babies putting their lips together probably is kind of the first noises you would imagine them making, is a mom kind of thing.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's hard to extrapolate that.
Yeah, I think that these words, there are some words that are so basic in their creation, right? Like mama and papa. I think it's probably impossible to really know where that word began or how it began etymologically. It's too early. Those words were formed before we wrote anything down.
I think earth is one that we don't really know a whole lot.
Right. There are a bunch of words that fall into the category of too old to really know where they come from.
Primordial.
It's just like drums. Many people debate what was the first instrument we played, and there are three possible choices. One is voice, the other is flute, and the other is drums. And they have found flutes that are like 35,000 years old.
Wow.
So they think that means, the flute was the earliest one. But that could be wrong.
You could grab a piece of wood and
you
drum
don't know
on it.
when people started using voice for music, and you also don't, if you had two sticks on the ground and you were beating them, those would not be left behind, so you don't know. So in this case, words that predate written language, there's no way to know where they come from. You have to have a written record in order to really guess or know where they come from. We're a cute couple. Well, thank you, Dylan. Which English words have I traced back to the earliest etymology? Nario. Let's
That's a good
see.
question.
There are some, though, it depends on what you're talking about. That's why English is interesting,
Yeah.
because every language...
Where it comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about the earliest English words from the Angles, right? Words like way, meaning the road.
Right.
Right? Let me see. Let me find a page. I think there's a page I remember about this.
Got to be a food word or something, I'm thinking that would have been.
So, Nario, it depends on where you're tracing the language from, right? You have to remember that English has a mix of many languages, right? So there's English, and there's Germanic and Norse, Northern European languages. There's French, there's Italian, there's Latin and Spanish, and there's many Greek words there. So, and all of those usually derive from what we call PIE, Proto-Indo-European language, PIE. So that was a group of languages that existed in Central Europe before all the languages we know now, right? So in general, we usually go back to saying things come from PIE languages, and then once it goes back that far, then there's no
way of knowing.
There's
for
no
sure.
way of knowing, right? Yeah. So before PIE languages, there are some words that can be traced back to Sanskrit, which is one of the earliest written languages in the world. Sumerian is the oldest language that we know of in the world, but I don't think there are any words that we still use in modern English that trace back to Sumerian. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
But there are some modern English words that trace back to Sanskrit. So I would probably say that the words that do trace back to Sanskrit are probably the oldest ones.
Yeah, what was the Rosetta Stone on? It had the 3 languages. I think Sanskrit.
Right.
And
Greek
maybe,
and
it starts with a
Egyptian.
C. Well, it's no, it wasn't hieroglyphics. It was like I want to say it was close to the Sumerian language.
Let's see.
It starts with a C or was it
2 languages, Egyptian and
I thought it
Greek,
was-
and 3 writing systems: hieroglyphs, Demotic script, which is like Egyptian hieroglyphs,
I see.
and then Greek.
And what did they call it? I don't know why I'm thinking of something else. I'm trying to. Cuneiform. That's
right.
Yeah, that's the word which covers all those
that's
different.
right. That's,
right.
That's a form of cursive hieroglyphs. Right. Okay.
Yeah, cuneiform was the word I was
That's
looking
right.
for.
Which learner is good? What do you mean, Julia?
All of them.
Yeah, all learners are good. Are these all the same? All Greek to me, to be above me, or to make heads or tails of what something said. If you say it's Greek to me, that means I don't understand it at all.
So I can't make
It's
heads or tails.
It's like if you've seen the Greek language, it's has its own alphabet, and it's difficult to understand. If you don't read Greek, then it looks pretty crazy. So sometimes we say Chinese to me, right? Same reason, because it's difficult to look at for the average person and understand at all, right? So it's all Greek to me means I can't possibly understand. It's too difficult for me. It's above me does mean I don't understand, but I think all Greek to me is stronger.
Yeah, and it's more like be above me. I feel like it's over my head, which
Right.
is another saying is
Right.
closer to what you're trying to
Right,
get there.
but to say something is over my head means slightly beyond my understanding.
Right.
But all Greek to me means completely I don't understand. To make heads or tails of something is an idiom that means when you look at it, I can't tell which one is the head and which one is the tail.
Right.
I don't know.
It may be cattywampus.
Right. So to make heads or tails of something means I can't understand what I'm looking at. so they're slightly different. First instrument was a cooking pot and a stick. For me, it was. Right, yeah, me too, Julian. I used to pull out my mom's pots and pans from the stove in the bottom drawer of the oven, right? And I would pull out all the pans and put them on the floor, and then I would climb in the drawer and beat on the pans with wooden spoons. I wish I had a picture of that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
You had your own set even back then.
Yeah, right. To be big, too big for your britches. Britches means pants. So... as you get older, you wear bigger and bigger pants, right? So the idea is the older you get, the bigger your pants are. So for someone to be too big for their britches means that they want to be powerful. They want to be a big boy. They want to wear the big boy pants, but they can't. They're not able to fill that position. They're not able to do that thing. They're too big for their britches in this case. That's not a commonly used one anymore.
No.
Yeah. The oldest language, Sumerian, and then Sanskrit. What does it mean if something is not cracked up to be? It's not cracked up to be what I thought it was. It means it's not what I thought it was. It's not. I had a good image of what something should be, but when I saw it finally, it didn't meet that image at all. That's what that means. And yeah, too big for his britches means somebody acting overly confident or arrogant. Right. So they're pretending that they wear the big boy pants, but they're not really able to wear the big boy pants.
Yeah, it is definitely usually heard in the South in an older generation.
And we even say that, time to put on my big boy pants, whenever something is very serious.
Yeah.
Then we say,
we use pants in a lot of different things. Fancy
right.
pants.
That's
and,
right. That's right.
Ants in your pants.
Yeah. You searched on Google, and the answer you got is that Tamil is the oldest language? Nope. Sumerian, Akkadian, and Egyptian are the oldest languages with a clear written record.
Akkadian.
That's from Scientific American. This does say, let's see, by order of appearance, the Tamil language would be, let's see. Right. So the oldest written languages are Egyptian, Sumerian, and Akkadian. Tamil may be earlier as a spoken language, but not as a written language.
I see.
Okay, if you're asking me questions, Satya, hello, Satya Parkash, I know you want answers to your questions, but you're not asking the right questions today. If you want to know about how to learn English faster for speaking, then you can go to my website, my YouTube channel. Go here or here. Go to my YouTube, follow some videos, watch some videos there. You'll see lots of tips about how to learn English faster, okay? What does to have our work cut out for us mean? It means that whatever you're trying to do is going to be very difficult. So if you say we really have our work cut out for us, it means that whatever you're trying to do is going to be a difficult job.
Yeah, we know the task and we know that it's going to be it's going to be hard. I wonder if that's comes from getting a huge block of marble or something, and now they've got their work cut out.
So it's borrowed from tailoring. Because when you made a suit, you had to cut it out, and the more difficult suits were more difficult to cut. So we have our work cut out for us, right? So those words come from tailoring, which means a tailor is a person who makes clothes. So when you wanted to make a dress or a suit or a shirt, you have to cut out the pattern. And the more expensive the clothes are, the more difficult the pattern is. So if we really have our work cut out for us, it means that this is a really difficult pattern for us to cut, or this is a difficult job for us to do. What about surname? Where does surname come from? Sur comes from, oh, that's interesting. So that comes from the Latin word super, meaning above, and name.
Yeah.
So it's your above name.
Like the family, like the name that
Right.
goes above all of the other names.
It's the super name.
Yeah.
It's the biggest name, the most important name is your family name, your surname. All right. Hello, Miguel. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey,
What's the
Miguel.
difference between between at my break and on my break and in my break? So those are preposition questions. On my break is the most common way that we would say it. I'm going to rest on my break. I'll have lunch on my break.
I wouldn't use the other two generally.
If I say,
I guess
there are a few cases where you could, you can, you can have lunch at your.
I'm
break.
going to have lunch at my break.
Right.
Yeah.
Or. So in my break is probably the only one I would probably stay away from. There are probably
at my break can be used.
There are a few situations where I'm sure you probably could say in my break, but in most cases it's going to be at my break or on my break, and on my break is the most common one. We're talking about English words and where they come from. If you have a word you want to know, where does this word come from? What did it originally mean? Just ask me the word or phrase. Any phrases, if you've got an idiom that you want to know, where does this idiom come from? You ask me and I will tell you where it comes from and explain how that we ended up with our current meaning. How to evaluate the film Alien Romulus. I don't know. I have not seen it, so I don't know.
I like the old Alien movies.
Yeah. It is funny to think that the first one was made in like 1978.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Bilbo Baggins was in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The difference between oh my God and oh my gosh. Gosh is a softened form of the word God.
An avoidance word.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are some people who don't want to use the word God because it's considered to be blasphemous, right?
Using his name in vain.
Right. So you're not supposed to say the name God. So instead of saying God, they'll say gosh, but it means the same thing. Oh my gosh, oh my God. It's OMG. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
In England, sometimes, oh my days.
Right. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an etymology story behind that one though. A friend in need is a friend indeed just means that when you really need a friend, when things are bad, that's when you really find out who your real friends are. Right? So if everything's going well for you and you're rich and famous and happy, then, when your friends help you, it's good, but it's not that
hard to be a fair weather.
It's not that amazing. It's when your friends help you when things are going well, but when your friends help you when things are not going well, that's a truly valuable thing, right? My pops is going to rip me a new one if he finds out I scuffed his car paint.
That's like from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right.
My dad's got a killer set of tools.
Right.
Dude.
My pops is my dad, and to rip me a new one usually means to yell at you. Yeah. Right. So the coach is going to rip me a new one. The teacher is going to rip me a new one. I won't tell you what new one means, but yeah.
It's a bit like being chewed out.
Right.
Yeah,
It's being chewed out is the same thing. Right. And to scuff means to scratch. Yeah. Where does the word matter baby come from?
He's trying to get you.
Yeah.
And to say,
right.
Yeah, what's the matter, baby?
Good one, Julian. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. So to rob Peter to pay Paul, that's a Bible thing.
Yeah.
Right? Peter and Paul were two disciples in the Bible. And so the idea of robbing Peter to pay Paul means I'm using one credit card to pay off my debt from another credit card.
You're just moving money. You're not, there's nothing is being gained and nothing,
so, I owe this guy money, but I'm going to borrow money from this guy so I can pay this guy. But now you owe this guy money. So now you have to borrow money from this guy to pay this guy. That's called robbing Peter to pay Paul, is that kind of thing. Okay? LOL means laugh out loud. Hello, Fluke.
Funny, they asked an old Southern guy what LOL meant, and he said, lots of love?
Yeah, right, yeah. Did anybody take attendance? Why?
Yes, and you're in trouble for being tardy.
So somebody's asking about memorizing words again, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Is there some kind of system by which you can quickly memorize words? No, there is no one system that everyone uses to learn words. Here's my advice about how to learn vocabulary words. First, memorizing is the worst way to learn. Okay, so if you want to use memorizing, you can, but only if it's the first step in a longer process of learning. If the only thing you're doing is trying to memorize, that doesn't work well. It's been proven in many, many, many tests that it will teach you words for short-term memory. You can remember them for a few weeks or a month, but you will not remember them long-term. So how can you remember them? You have to engage with the words in more ways than just one. Right? So when you memorize a word, you're just engaging with it one way, and that's why it doesn't stay in your brain. But reading is one of the best ways to learn new vocabulary words because you're learning the words in the context. Okay? So reading. That's one of the best ways to learn new vocabulary words. Second, you can use a thesaurus. Thesaurus, it always sounds like it's my favorite dinosaur.
Oh, it's not typing.
Oh,
yes, it is. On a big delay.
Okay, so a thesaurus, it means a treasure book. The word thesaurus actually means treasure book. And it's a book that has synonyms of all the other words that are related to the word you're looking up, right? So, Julia, if you want to remember words, then you have to find many ways to learn the words, right? So using a thesaurus helps you explore the words that you know to find words that you don't know. Reading helps you learn new vocabulary because it helps you in the context by teaching you words in a story. Etymology is a great way to learn new words because it teaches you the history of where the words come from. And many times the words have interesting stories. And if you have an interesting story that tells you where the word comes from, you don't have to try to remember that. Your brain wants to remember interesting stories.
You're engaging with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I usually tell people the story about the word stick and the word steak, right? Stick and steak. Stick and steak, they look very similar to each other. They sound very similar to each other, and there's a good reason why. Because what is a steak? A steak is a piece of meat cooked over fire, right? And how did we cook steak? What was the first way that we used to cook steak over a fire? We put it on a stick. So that's why the word steak and stick look similar to each other, because they're related. Okay? So now you'll remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You're not going to forget that, right? So that's why etymology is sometimes a really great way to learn words, right? And then let me give you one more tip. If you're trying to practice using a word, when you practice using a word, try to use it in one normal way and try to use it in one weird, funny, different way. Okay? So if you write a new sentence and you say, well, I always use the same example. If I'm talking about microphone, right? Microphone is my new word. So I could write a sentence and just say, my new microphone is very expensive. That's a good sentence. There's nothing wrong with that sentence, but you're not going to remember that sentence. But if I say, I hit my little brother in the face with my new expensive microphone, now you've created a little picture in your mind that's funny and interesting. Your brain will remember that. So that's a trick of learning that you have to understand. Your brain remembers weird stuff a lot more easily than it remembers normal stuff.
Imagery, you know,
Right.
is important, and not just literary writing, but in learning as well, I think.
Right. So if you want to memorize, you can. You can start with memorizing as step one. Then you need to read. Then you need to use a thesaurus. Then you need to do etymology. Then you need to practice using the words in many ways. Neuroscientists, when you ask neuroscientists about the best way to learn, they use a word called overlearning. Overlearning means to study the same material again and again, but in different ways every time. So that you're still studying the same material, but you're coming at it from a new angle, which gives your brain a chance to absorb the material in a new way. So, the more ways that you absorb that material, the more likely it's going to stay. Memorizing is just one way. That's why it doesn't work. It just it comes in one ear and out the other. Okay? Coinage by Teacher Mark. What does that mean? What am I coining? Could I recommend some books for an English teacher? Isla, send me a private message and I'll see what I can do. Who was first, the chicken or the egg?
The egg, but probably the chicken.
The Big Bang.
Yeah. Yeah, in this class that I'm in right now, the dinosaurs and disasters class, it's pretty interesting. Chickens are technically dinosaurs still,
yeah.
So you know, the chicken's been around. I'll call it the chicken. It's been around for a long time.
I love eating dinosaur meat.
That's right. It's my favorite.
Do I know Shah Rukh Khan? I don't think so,
World's
no.
#1 actor in the world. I don't know Shah Rukh Khan.
I'm not very familiar with Indian movies or Bollywood,
Yeah, he
really.
sounds like a good dude. At least a famous
Snack
dude.
or snack? There is no snack. It's snack. S-N-A-C-K, meaning a small, something small that you eat. A snack. Okay, once again, raise your hand if you want to ask us some questions, or if you want to just type in the chat, that's fine too. I'm answering questions about etymology, which means ask me vocabulary words. You give me a vocabulary word, and I will try to tell you where it comes from. Oh, here we go with this question again. The difference in pronunciation between can and can't.
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 Yeah, Carlos.
Can.
It's very normal and very common for many people, even native speakers, to not hear that word properly. So maybe I will ask Clay, can you work with me tomorrow? And maybe he'll say,
I can.
I think I can. But maybe he says it quickly and I don't hear him very well. And so I will say to him, I'm sorry, did you say can or can't? I'm sorry, did you say can or can't? And then he will say,
I can.
I can't, or I can, right? He'll make it more clear, right? So this question about can and can't It has nothing to do with language, because in native speakers often can't hear the difference in that word also. So don't worry about it anymore. And if you don't hear someone properly, then ask. And what you can say is, I'm sorry, did you say can or can't? Okay? Hello. Etymology. Let me type that for you. And if you want to, you can go to this website, etymonline.com. It's a free etymology dictionary online. Okay? When does S sound like Z? There is no rule for that, Tiago. It depends on where the word comes from. So eraser is an S.
Yeah, is S.
Jersey is a Z. Right. But there is no rule about that, Tiago. How to use the stress on words correctly? Is it important for AI to detect speaking in PTE exams? Okay. Aria, stress on words can be difficult. My general advice to most people when they're trying to pronounce new words is pretend you're throwing that word down the stairs. Okay? And what I mean is if I say a word like... let me think. Like etymology, right? When I say it, I imagine that the word is going down the stairs. Etymology, etymology, etymology. So this is helping my phrasing, right? My tonal phrasing and my pronunciation. Now, occasionally there are words that have a stress on a middle or later syllable. But in general, I think it's a good rule to approach every word like you're just tossing it down the stairs. Start from there and then go and see. Now, there are some words that have a different stress. There are some words that have more than one stress. For example, the word combat and combat, right? Combat, if I put the accent on the first syllable, combat, that's a noun and it means to fight, right? Fighting is combat, right? But if I say to combat, putting the strong syllable on the second syllable is strong, combat, that means it's a verb meaning to fight. So there are some words in English, when you change the pronunciation, it changes the word from a noun to a verb.
August and August.
Right, yeah. Always hated that word, though.
Yeah. It's not common.
Yeah, not a common word, right. What's the difference between ma'am and madam? Ma'am means madam. Ma'am is just a shortened version of the word madam. We don't use madam very often at all anymore, ever.
Yeah, not in the States anyway.
Yeah, that's a kind of an older, outdated, formalized word. So in general, if you're talking to a woman that you don't know, you can say ma'am or you can say miss. Miss is fine, okay? Excuse me, miss. Pardon me, miss. Couldn't you help me, miss? Okay, you can say ma'am also. Ma'am might be considered to be slightly old or too formal for some people. Miss, in general, I think is both formal enough and also modern enough.
Yeah, and I'll sometimes, maybe it's being from Kentucky in the South, but I'll call even younger women ma'am if I'm working or something like that. And
right.
But then sometimes they'll be like, I'm too young to be a ma'am. It's
right.
jokingly,
Yeah,
but
right,
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's a Southern thing, kind of, though.
Yeah, it is.
Can I please show how I do my workplace? Alim, yeah. So I use my computer to do my live streams. There is a way to do that. It is a bit complicated, but it is possible to run your live streams on a computer. Hello, Hussein.
You record and record.
Right, yeah. There's another one, yeah. Rotate my headset will be more comfortable. It's pretty comfortable. I'm not worried about my headset. These are very comfortable headphones. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, these
Am
are.
I from Brazil?
They sit
No.
real softly.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, they don't pinch at all.
Yeah, like these are studio recording headphones, not video game ones.
Right.
Video game ones are okay.
They're like, it's good for a few, and then they're squeezing your head.
Yeah.
And
These are designed by people who spend 10, 12 hours with headphones on their head. So yeah, you can take a nap with these. Yeah, and it's comfy. I used to take these on a plane. Oh yeah, so comfortable and listen to whatever music you want. Yeah. Hussein, my live streams are usually on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And right now it is 11:47 a.m. here in Cincinnati. We usually start Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 9 or 10, 9:30, 10 a.m. Okay, so Friday is usually a little bit later. Monday and Wednesday is usually a little bit earlier. Okay? Miss. No, Miss is for a woman who is not married.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mrs. is what we would call a woman who is married.
That's right. Yeah. So Miss is referring to any woman who's not married. Yeah. It's kind of like Xiaojie.
Yeah, and if you call
you
called a woman who was married Miss unknowingly, then no one's going to make a big deal out of it.
Lady is not a word that we use very often anymore, to be honest with you. We use it when we're talking about people, but we won't say when we're talking to someone. I won't say, hey, lady. Yeah. That's kind of considered rude. Hey, miss, excuse me, miss, that would be okay. But lady, if I say I see two ladies over there, that's okay. But as an address, when you're talking to people, definitely don't use the word lady. Hey, lady.
Hey, yeah. What is that? Hey,
that's from
Crank Yankers?
It goes way back before that. It's who's the guy who had the what's his name?
John Joseph wants to know who created the Big Bang.
Jerry Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Jerry Lewis back in the day. He was the early comedian, and he used to have the, hey, lady.
Okay.
Let's see. To audit a program without including finance. Audit means to try. So auditing a program means that you don't pay for it yet, you just try it and see. Auditing a class means the same thing. Means you might buy this class, but you want to try one first. So you go to the class and you audit, which means you just watch one class for free, just to see if you like it. Who created the Big Bang? Me.
Yeah, someone. Who knows? Well, I guess it could be something.
Another question about stress on vocab. What if I face some new word that I don't know the reading, and what should we read aloud? Do your best, Arya. Phonics is the art of sounding out words based on what you see. And it is not a perfect science because English has so many words that break the rules of standard pronunciation. But phonics is definitely still the best way to start. Right? It's one of my favorite things about teaching little kids because I still love to see a kid find a new word and then sound it out to figure it out when almost all the time, I'd say 90% of the time, when they take the time to sound out each syllable, when they get to the end, they hear it. They go, oh, I know what that is now.
Right.
And they say it correctly then. So pronouncing the words using the phonetic pronunciation is still the best way, sounding it out. Okay? Abbas, your English is very weak. What do I suggest? I suggest you follow me.
Yes, I was going to say continue to watch the streams and check out the other stuff.
Okay, let's see what else. Trina, no. 我们住在美国，我们是美国人。我们住在俄亥俄州。Can I play a little white horse with sunshine and rainbow? Huh? 什么意思？我听不懂你说什
A
么。
little while, make something up. Hey lady.
Yeah， 这是一个歌手吗？我不知道。Oh, you want me to play a song on my drums or something? What's the best way to make perfect pronunciation of American English? Well, Ali, that depends on which American English you want to sound like, right? If there are
Right.
many American English sounds or accents, right? We have the Midwestern American accent, right? It's one of the most neutral sounding American accents. But choose an accent, one, and two, then understand that accents are all about mouth movements. So you have to learn the proper mouth movements. And if you want to sound very clear with an American accent, then you need to open your mouth more and enunciate, right? So if you see how much I move my mouth, that's why it's so clear. Okay? Maya, oh, come on, Maya. Don't be begging for a husband here. You can do better than that. Are we mixing engineers or music producers? I am a musician. I am a drummer. This is my studio. So, yeah, that's my keyboard and my drums behind me here.
So yeah, he is a mixing engineer, really.
Sure, yeah. Hello, Abyss. You struggle with words that end in TS like scientists. Yeah, that is a little bit difficult. What I would say is, Arami, you should write down a list of all the words that have that TS sound at the end. Write them all on a piece of paper and practice that every day. That's honestly your best way to fix that problem. Okay? Midwestern is the right accent in the U.S. Again, there are many accents. There's the New York accent, the Boston accent, the Texas accent, the Maine accent, the Georgia accent, the, Southern California accent, the Milwaukee,
We don't quite have like a standardized accent.
Yeah.
Maybe what you would see on TV may be closer to what we're speaking now. But depending on where you are, you may hear it differently somewhere else.
Based on IPA pronunciation, our accent is the closest to IPA that I know of. Okay? As far as I know, IPA pronunciation is mostly close to the Midwestern American accent. 我自己学中文，大约自己学。Hello, Mustafa. Just like the accent in Breaking Bad? Yeah, I would.
It is similar. I mean,
think I
those
would say
actors
that.
aren't probably from Albuquerque.
Right.
but-
Bryan Cranston.
and Aaron Paul.
Yeah, they both tend to have a standard, Midwestern
sort of
accent. Yeah, I think so. I would say that. Yeah. Okay, Hussein, what's your question? Hello, Stas from Russia. Привет. IPA is, what is it, International Phonetic Pronunciation or something like that. Hello, Hila. And Nazim is correct. Accent is not that important. Pronunciation is. I agree with that. Yeah. Is there a big difference between street language and official one? There are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very important to learn standardized English first. And then after you learn standardized proper English, then you can start listening to slang, common English. That's what you'll hear on many TV shows and things like that. Okay? Yeah, Arya, our accent, the Midwestern accent, is considered to be probably the most understandable of the American accents. It's considered the most neutral, right? So that's why I'm saying it's if you look up IPA pronunciation, it's pretty close to what we do. Okay? Is it a good way to learn English from songs? It can be. Songs are fun, and fun is always good when you're learning.
No
right?
Pearl Jam.
Yeah, right. But here's the problem with learning English from songs. There are two problems, okay? One problem is songs are like poetry, which means they don't have to follow any rules about grammar, right? Or language. Songs are art, so they do not follow the rules. You can write, anything you want in your lyrics for a song, and it doesn't matter if it's correct grammar or not. So that's one problem. And then the other problem is singing. Sometimes the pronunciation changes when you sing, and sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's for the worse. It depends on the word or the person for that matter, right? Like Bob Dylan, right. There's certain people who sing, when they sing, their voice has a very specific way of pronouncing things that is signature and character to their singing, right? So, is Bob Dylan wrong for singing that way? No, right. but he's not a perfect person to listen to if you're trying to learn English.
Right.
Right? So, what I would say is remember that learning English from songs is great because it's fun, but you need to remember that you might learn some grammar that's not correct or some slang words that you maybe aren't familiar with.
Incorrect pronunciations.
Or incorrect pronunciations. That's right. Yeah. Movies also have usually common English, not standard English. It depends on the movie, but yeah. Okay, any other questions about English words? We're getting close to the end here. If you guys have any other questions about English words, here is my link tree if you want to follow me. How's everyone doing today? Zishan, then follow my links. If you want to learn English, then follow my links. Okay? Enunciation, the way you spelled it, that doesn't mean anything.
That's what an announcer does.
Yeah, right. Pronunciation, I think, is what you're trying to say. Pronunciation means the way you clearly say things is your pronunciation. Or the way you say things, I should say. Good pronunciation means you say things clearly. Bad pronunciation means that you're not saying things clearly. There's a word that's close to the word that you have, enunciation, but that's not OU, that's just you. The word enunciate, that's a different word, but there's no U in there. Doesn't want to come up in my dictionary.
Not populated.
There it is. Yeah. So enunciate is spelled ANNUNCIATE. no O. And that word just means to announce. To announce. So if you take out the O from your word, then that is a word, and that means just to announce things. Okay? But the way you spelled it is not a word. Okay, we have about 10 more minutes.
Pistachio.
Pistachio, you want to know about the word pistachio? Okay, let's find out pistachio. It's Italian, I think. Pistachio comes from the Latin word pistachium, meaning, or Greek pistachion, meaning pistachio nut. And that comes from Persian, pistache. Yeah, so pistachio comes from an old Greek or Persian word that just means pistachio.
Its usage went way up as we've started to eat more of them.
That's right, yeah. Can I talk about the exam system from senior high school to university? We don't have one the way you do, Lydia. In China, you guys have the Gaokao, right, which is like a final big test that you have to take if you want to get into a university. We don't have a Gaokao like that. We have the SAT,
the ACT,
the ACT, but even that they don't really care about anymore necessarily, right? So in America, if you want to go to university, it's just about your grade point average and your activities. That's really about it, right?
We do have standardized testing in schools to kind of, that's more of a way to see how the school is doing.
That's right.
And less so much about the actual kids' scores.
Right. When I was younger, the SAT was kind of like the Gaokao. It was like you had to get a good score.
Yeah, that's how ACT was built up for me when I was in high school.
But now we don't really care as much about that. We still use it, but it's not as important as it used to be. So we try to get the best grades we can, and the higher your grade point average is and the better your activities and extracurricular activities are, the more likely that you'll get into a good school. So that's how it is. So you can apply for any school, right, from anywhere, and if you have good grades and you have good activities, then you can probably get in, right? It's a little different than the Chinese test.
Or if you're good at sports.
Right, yeah. Activities, Lydia, yeah. So, do they play sports? Do they have, play a musical instrument?
Do they volunteer?
Are they in a band? Yeah. Do they have a volunteer group? Are they in a club? Do they do any kind of projects or things like that, community work? Those are extracurricular activities. Okay, extra meaning outside and curricular meaning school, so outside of school. Okay? So the word nut, can I explain the word nut? Sure. It comes from an old Germanic word, knut, meaning nut. But that's actually also where we get the word nucleus from.
Huh, that makes sense.
Right. So it comes from the Latin word nux, N-U-X, meaning nucleus or source. You check the college requirements, most ask for GMAT or GRE. That's for master's program. If you want to study in a master's program in the United States, then yes, you have to have a GMAT or GRE test score. That's for the master's programs, though. But for undergraduate, it just is about your GPA and your activities.
Record,
yeah, your record. Right. Yeah. I'm glad you understand, Lydia. Yuki, what are you trying to say? Good night, Yuki. Take care. All right. Well, I think it's just about time for us to head out here. But let's see. About the master's program, what about IEP? Does it work? It works if you... I would say it works for some people. So what that means is there are some people who come to the United States to study master's program from another country, and English is not their main language, and they might need an advanced intensive English program to try to be able to pass their classes. So almost all universities in the United States have an AIP program designed to help you learn English quickly so that you can study. It works for the people that it works for, meaning there are some people who study very hard and their English is good enough that they can do that. But there are some people who don't study hard and their English level is not very good. You're going to struggle. If you want to go to the United States to study English, if you want to study a master's program, then your classes will be in English and they will be difficult college level English. So you can't fake that. You can't fake that. No. You know, if I tried to take a class in Chinese, I'd be in trouble. Yeah. My Chinese is okay, but it's not good enough to take a college class.
Yeah.
Okay? How many in-state students in the USA rely on scholarships?
Probably a lot.
A lot. Yeah. American college is extremely expensive. Even the lower universities are still crazy expensive now. We get scholarships and loans and grants. Yeah, that's if you want to go to school, it's going to cost you.
That's how I've paid for my at the community college. It's been all grants.
Right. Yeah. Satya wants to know: is it good to learn English from movies and new channels? It's good to learn English from movies and new channels that have good English, right? So if you're watching a movie with good English, then it's good. If you're watching a channel on YouTube with good English, then it's good. But if you're just choosing some movie and some channel, then maybe no. Maybe it might not be good at all. Okay. All right, guys, let me give you my links again one more time. There is my link tree. You can follow me there. Here is my website. You can follow me there. And here is my YouTube. You can follow me there. And you're right. The angle is bigger.
Yeah. Doesn't it seem a little...
Yeah, and they can even see my
better?
keyboard in the front here. So that is
something has happened
better.
with it anyway.
Something has been changed a bit. That's good. That's good. Yeah. And we don't have to...
No, because we were cheek to cheek.
We were right. Yeah. This is a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I'll tell them it's getting better. That's good.
Yeah.
Are there any good universities for people who are studying literature in the U.S.? Mona, I'm not really sure which universities are considered the big literature universities now. I would probably say... I'm tempted to say East or West Coast would probably be better. You know,
right.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say. But I would say that universities that have a longer history probably have a better literature program, I would guess. Okay? And how to know if you're good at English or if you have a good level. Aya, there are many tests that you can take online.
If people understand you.
Yeah. Yeah. Aya, there are many ways to find out your level of English, but, I would start with some free tests online. Okay? Okay, guys, so it's about time for us to go. We've been here for almost 2 hours now, 1 hour and 55 minutes, so that's, I think, a good time for us to stop here. I'm going to answer these last couple questions. Can I suggest how to use English movies and news channels to learn English? Yes, Satya, what you want is, if you're going to use English TV shows or movies, then what you need to do is search online for the transcript. So whatever movie you're watching, if you're watching Fast and Furious, then type in Fast and Furious transcript. If you're watching the TV show Friends, type in Friends transcript. If you're watching Big Bang Theory, type in Big Bang Theory transcript. Every American TV show and movie has something called the transcript available for free online. A transcript means it's a printout of all the words in the movie. Okay, so whatever they say in the movie, you can print it out and hold it. So then you can watch the movie and you can hold your notes and you can circle the words that you don't know and circle the phrases you want to learn. And so if you're trying to use TV and movies to learn English, then you need to get the transcript so that you can make notes and actually turn your entertainment into learning. Right? If you're just watching TV shows and using the subtitles and hoping to learn, you can learn, but it's not efficient and it will take you a long time. But if you get the transcript, you can turn any TV show or movie into homework where you study and learn. Okay? All right. And what kind of job is expected for international students after studying a PhD in English translation studies? Oh, I don't know, Amen.
Hey,
I mean,
maybe
translation job.
Yeah, translation job.
Obviously,
at a business, some type of big,
that's a pretty specific career field. Okay. All right, guys. All right, so that's going to be it for us today. Do I stream anywhere else? I stream on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube. I'm on YouTube right now. So every time I do a Hello Talk stream, my Hello Talk stream is also on YouTube at the same time. And there's no time limit over there. So you can follow me on YouTube when there's no time limit. Okay? All right, guys. I will see you guys next time. We will see you guys next time. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. Wherever you live in the world. Don't forget to be a language warrior. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for participating. Thank you for following. We'll see you guys next time. Okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.